Good evening, everyone. So, welcome back. Today, we are going to talk about the second part of plant growth and development. So, yesterday, we had spoken about what kinds of growth and development patterns can be seen, what is the growth rate, how it can be measured. And today, we will study about certain factors which affect this growth and development. Okay. So mainly, like I said yesterday, there is no nervous system in plants, right? So we have certain type of growth regulators. Now, growth regulators are basically factors that can inhibit growth or it can promote growth. Okay. So what we are going to talk about is phytohormones, or basically plant hormones. Plant hormone is any kind of chemical that is produced by the plant to manage or to regulate the growth. Okay, so basically it will be translocated from one region to another. Maybe one part will produce this hormone and then it is translocated to different parts and it will take care of all the physiological reactions. Okay. Now, look at this statement. All phytohormones are growth regulators, but all growth regulators are not phytohormones. That means growth regulators can be of different kinds. Maybe light is a growth regulator. Yesterday we spoke about photoperiodism. There could be certain pigments that can be growth regulators. Temperature, water, CO2, all of these raw materials can also act as growth regulators. But what we are focusing on is the phytohormones or the plant hormones. So plant hormones or growth regulators can be categorized into two main groups. One is growth promoter. That means it will promote growth or it will enhance the growth. And we have three such hormones: auxins, cytokinins, and gibberellins. Whereas we have another category which is growth inhibitors, which will stop the growth. Okay, so we have abscisic acid and ethylene. These are the two plant hormones. So this is just an overview: auxin, cytokinin, gibberellin, growth promoters, whereas growth inhibitor is ethylene and abscisic acid. Now, ethylene here is put into growth inhibitors because majorly it performs growth inhibition, but it can be in both the categories. Okay. In some cases, it also promotes growth. So that we'll talk about in a little while. Okay. Let's look at auxin first. So auxin was first discovered, or let's say it was first categorized by Darwin, Charles Darwin, because he was the first one to show photoperiodism. Right? Photoperiodism we've already spoken about yesterday. Photoperiodism means that the plant is dependent upon light. Photo means light and the period of light. Okay. Now, as and when this was figured out that the plant responds to certain amounts of light or will not respond to certain amount of light, there has to be something because of which this response is happening, right? It is not just that the plant has suddenly decided that I want to go with light or against light, because we spoke about short day plants, long day plants, or day neutral plants. So what exactly is happening is, then came another scientist, F.W. Wendt. He was the first one to do or to showcase that, okay, there is something in the coleoptile of the shoot that is allowing this photoperiodism. Okay, so this is an experimental setup that was performed by Darwin. What Darwin did was that he took a coleoptile and induced light. Automatically, the coleoptile or the shoot tip turned towards the light. It started facing the light. Then in the second experiment, what he did was that he cut off the tip of the shoot. And then when the light was provided, there was no reaction, right? So this, he could not understand what it was. This understanding came from F.W. Wendt. He performed the same experiment in Avena plants. So that is known as Avena curvature test. So basically the same thing is being done, and this is how auxin was discovered. This question has come multiple times, that how is bioassay, or how do you find out whether or not the auxin is present in the tip? So simply by the Avena curvature test, you can do it in any kind of shoot, any kind of shoot tip, okay, and the results would be the same. Now, there are two types of auxins. One is the natural auxin that is present in the plant itself, produced by the plant, mainly by the apex, shoot and root both. So it allows growth of the plant or the elongation of the plant. Other than that, it can also be found in growing embryos. It can also be found in some of the germinating seeds. There are two types of natural auxins. We have indole 3-acetic acid, also known as IAA, and we have indole butyric acid, which is IBA. Both the forms are found in plants, but this is the most common. This is the structure of indole acetic acid, IAA. So it's a ring structure, and there is a COOH chain as well. Now, we have also produced synthetic forms for our own use, because extraction of auxins from different plant parts, it becomes difficult. If we have synthetic auxin, we can apply it to plants and basically use it for agriculture or horticulture purposes. So the most common ones are 2,4-D and NAA. 2,4-D is 2,4-dichlorophenoxy acetic acid, and NAA is naphthalene acetic acid. These both are synthetic, as well as 2,4-D is a common weedicide or a herbicide that we use. Okay, so why is it used as a herbicide? Is because it usually kills the herbs that are growing around the crop plants. How? That I will tell you in just a minute when we speak about the functions. So let's just look at the functions. Now, these functions are very important. सबसे पहले तो functions individually you have to remember. ठीक है? When you are remembering the function, also remember the location. अगर आपको location याद है कि कौन सा हार्मोन कहाँ पे produce हो रहा था, automatically you will remember the functions. And these functions can be used basically 2-3 hormones are compared with each other. कि अगर ये हार्मोन ये like auxin is doing something, so what is the other hormone doing? How are they counter affecting each other? तो वो सारी चीजें पूछी जाती हैं, तो you have to remember the functions. So it obviously helps in cell elongation of stems and roots because it is present at the apex. It promotes apical dominance. That means it is present at the tip, and it will promote the growth of apical bud. And inhibit lateral buds. तो जो मेन बड होता है, फॉर एग्जाम्पल इफ दिस इज द प्लांट, ओके, यहाँ से लेटरल ब्रांचिंग निकल रही है, ये वाला प्रमोट होगा, it will induce elongation and this will always be dominant. This somehow will be stopped. So the growth of the plant sideways or laterally is stopped. That is why 2,4-D can be used as a herbicide, because most of the herbs or the weeds or grasses that are growing around, they are bushy. They do not focus on only the apical growth. So अगर आप 2,4-D apply करोगे, उसमें apical growth होना शुरू हो जाएगा, and eventually the plant will die because there is no growth or lateral elongation of the plant. Third thing is that it induces parthenocarpy. Parthenocarpy means production or formation of fruits without fertilization. So whenever we are undergoing agriculture purposes or horticulture purposes, what we try to do is we try to minimum raw materials are utilized, minimum products are used, and maximum yield is obtained. Okay, so what we can do is that agar parthenocarpy can be induced, then you will not require male plants. So let's say if you have a land of 100 acres, 100 acres में आपको मेल प्लांट्स भी ग्रो करने पड़ेंगे, फीमेल भी ग्रो करने पड़ेंगे, and you will have to allow them to fertilize, and then eventually fruit production will occur. And male plants तो food production करेंगे ही नहीं, right? तो वो area, वो raw materials that you've utilized for production of male crops becomes useless as a whole. तो इससे better option ये है कि males को बिल्कुल ही छोड़ दो, right? Leave them aside and just induce parthenocarpy. So in that 100 acres of land, you can just produce female plants, and your production of fruits, flowers will be extra or double the amount. So that is parthenocarpy, where production of fruit is without fertilization. So this induces parthenocarpy. It will prevent premature fall because this promotes vegetative growth. ये initial growing years में होता है, तो ये premature fall या senescence में help, मतलब prevent करेगा senescence को, ठीक है? Next, it is useful in stem cuttings and graftings where it initiates rooting. So again, it is causing cell elongation of stems and roots. Okay, so if you have stem cuttings or you put grafting there, if it is applied, it can initiate rooting. Next, we have that it promotes flowering. So if you apply auxin or auxin is provided, flowering will be promoted or induced. This we've already discussed. T2,4-D is used as a herbicide, and it helps in cell division and xylem differentiation. So again, cell elongation में help कर रहा है. So it produces tissues and will allow cell division to occur. Okay. Chalo. Next hormone which is important is gibberellin. Gibberellin is written as gibberellic acid. There are more than 100 types of gibberellin. So we have GA1, GA2, GA3, so on and so forth till GA100. All of them have specific functions, or all of them will have this more or less the same functions. Only thing is that different forms can be produced. Okay, so gibberellin is acidic in nature. It is found in all group of plants, and it moves in the plant body through xylem and phloem. This is a typical structure of gibberellin acid. I'm seeing the comments, Ms. Ba. I just want to know which part do you want me to repeat. If you write down, is it about auxin? Is it about gibberellin? Along with that, I can repeat myself. Good evening, everyone. If you just mention which slide do you want to see, or which point point you want me to repeat, I'll be able to repeat that. Okay, so moving forward, let's look at the functions or applications of gibberellin. Now, gibberellin is similar to auxin. Auxin, the last point, this one, that it helps in cell division. Here, first point, dekho, it helps in cell elongation. Okay, so when it is helping in cell elongation, kaise hota hai? Pehle there is cell formation. After cell formation, there is cell elongation. and then you have cell differentiation, है ना, यही growth pattern है. So when this is occurring, obviously formation, elongation, differentiation all will require cell division. So its main function is to undergo cell division as well as xylem differentiation. So जब वो cell division करता है, main functions or main tissues that it is forming during cell differentiation is xylem. Okay, good evening everyone. Chalo, let's look at physiological effects and applications of gibberellic acid. So it allows stem or internode elongation. This is one of the most important characteristic of gibberellic acid. And it allows elongation of genetically dwarf plants. So सबने cabbage देखा है? Everybody seen a cabbage? Cabbage कैसे grow होता है? There is one modified stem. उसी stem से सारे leaves निकल रहे हैं, right? सारे के सारे leaves एक ही जगह से निकल रहे हैं, and then it forms that ball-like structure, right? Now अगर इस cabbage में मैं gibberellic acid apply कर दूं, तो पता है क्या होगा? ये जो stem है, this will elongate, and you will find something like this. ऐसा सा cabbage दिखाई देगा आपको, ठीक है? So it causes gibberellic acid causes elongation. This process is known as, इसको हम लोग rosette formation कहते हैं या rosette form कहते हैं, because rose की तरह है, rose petals की तरह, right? You have one inside the other, and this process is known as bolting, जहाँ पे the nodes have been elongated or the internodes have been elongated. Okay, and it can also induce elongation of genetically dwarf plants. There are certain plants which are normally dwarf only, they do not grow. So अगर आप उसमें भी apply कर दोगे gibberellic acid, it will start growing. Okay, next we have parthenocarpy again. जैसे मैंने कहा था, production of fruit without fertilization, same as auxin. It can be a substitution of cold treatment or vernalization. Yesterday we have spoken about vernalization. Vernalization induces flowering. So agar vernalization nahi karna hai, gibberellin can be applied and flowering can be induced. ठीक है? Next, breaking of dormancy. So it allows seeds to germinate. So there are certain seeds which are dormant. Under unfavorable conditions, they go into a stagnant phase where they are not growing. But agar gibberellin acid is applied, then it can germinate. Now, naturally also gibberellin acid does not need to be applied. The plant itself produces gibberellin acid. Okay, so वो क्या करता है? When gibberellin acid is produced, so GA3 is the main one. वो जो amylase है उसको activate करता है. Okay, amylase is an enzyme which will start breaking down amylose or basically glucose that is present in the seed. So let's say अगर आप rice seed की बात कर रहे हो, rice grain की बात कर रहे हो, there is a lot of starch present. With the help of GA3, amylase enzyme is activated, because of which this starch will start mobilizing and starch will start breaking down. As a result, energy is produced, and utilizing that energy, seed is germinated. ठीक है? Done? And of course it increases height of sugarcane. So commercially हम लोग sugarcane की height को बढ़ाने के लिए या उसकी yield को बढ़ाने के लिए GA को use करते हैं, ठीक है? Next we have cytokinin. Now cytokinin, तो ये जो तीन हम पढ़ रहे हैं, auxin, gibberellin and cytokinin, all three are growth promoters. You can ask your doubt a little later if it's from the other chapter. Let me finish this and then you can ask in the end. Is that okay, Jatin? Dormancy normally occurs जब भी unfavorable conditions हो. Unfavorable conditions can be कि adequate amount of water नहीं मिला है seed को, right? Or there is not enough nutrient present. So you're not sowing the seed. जैसे normally जो हम grains use कर रहे हैं, those grains can be utilized or that can be stored for a long period of time. जितने भी grains, चाहे वो rice grains हो, चाहे वो pulses हो, we store them. तो वो germinate नहीं कर रहे हैं, right? But if you sow them in the soil, provide them with water, soil will provide them with nutrient, automatically they'll germinate. So that is a property of all the seeds. Okay, that is like a mechanism to preserve itself. Okay, next let's talk about cytokinin. So cytokinin also we have two forms. We have natural form. Natural is zeatin. It is mainly found in corn kernels and coconut milk. And we have one more form which is known as isopentyl adenine. Main is zeatin. इसका structure यहाँ पे दे रखा है. Okay. Synthetic is kinetin, benzyl adenine, diphenylurea and thiodiuron. Now, अब ये जो आपके synthetic forms है ना, these synthetic forms are important because इसमें से they ask direct questions की out of the following which is a synthetic form of cytokinin. This is utilized again for agricultural or horticultural purposes. Yes, there is. We'll come to that. There are, so जो inhibitory hormones that are present, they will promote dormancy. And then the promoters will be allowed to break that dormancy. So we'll come to that, I'll tell you. So cytokinin is polar movement and basipetal. Okay, that means it moves from the base up top and it is also polar in nature. Let's talk about the physiological effect. Again, it allows cell division. It allows morphogenesis, that means formation of different structures in the plant. So normally when cell elongation and differentiation is occurring, different parts will have to be formed, right? Something will form the epidermis, something will form the vascular bundles, all these things. So this will allow that morphogenesis. Morpho means morphology, genesis means formation. Then it gives counteraction of apical dominance. So if you remember, auxins promote apical dominance, whereas here this will suppress apical dominance and promote lateral growth. So ये दोनों, they are antagonists to each other or they are opposite to each other. They break the dormancy of the seed again. So again, they allow seed germination to happen. And the main function is that it delays senescence or delays aging. So how the cytokinin was discovered or how we prove that cytokinin delays senescence is by, if you take certain pieces of leaf and take one experimental test tube or let's say experimental petri dish, उसमें आप सिर्फ उस leaf को पानी में डाल दो, ठीक है? So you've taken one petri dish, here you've put the leaves in, pieces of certain leaves in water. And this is one. In the second one, what you can do is put the leaves and add cytokinin. This second setup, the leaves will remain green for a longer period of time. So इसको आप 24 hours to 48 hours तक छोड़ दो ऐसे ही. Since it is not attached to the plant, so the plant will not be able to save it. This will start yellowing and showing signs of aging, whereas this will remain green. So application or if cytokinin is present, it will delay senescence. Also, it allows more attachment of fruits to the plant. So it will avoid falling of leaves or falling of fruits prematurely. Okay, so fruits, if they are falling before ripening, this is how it is being prevented. Next, it allows phloem conduction as well as sex expression. So phloem conduction means that it will allow whatever food materials are present in the phloem to be conducted or translocated. And it also provides sex expression. It promotes femaleness in plants because again, femaleness is required for any plant to grow. Okay. Next, we have abscisic acid. Now, if there is a requirement, then it can prevent even when they are mature. Okay? It is not necessary that it will be prevented, but maximum amount of time it will try to prevent. Premature falling will be avoided. Once it is mature, then other hormones are acting on it. So depending upon the quantity of that particular hormone, that will allow your falling or whether it's on the plant still. So abscisic acid, this is a growth inhibitor. It is also known as the stress hormone. Okay. And this stress hormone is produced, of course, during stress conditions, mainly during water stress. Okay. So what happens is, this is usually present in old leaves, fruits, old parts of the plant. Abscisic acid term comes from abscission. That means it allows falling of plant parts. So the thing is that at every stage of the life or every stage of growth, different types of mechanism will occur. ठीक है, जैसे initial growth हो रहा है, तो that time auxins and gibberellins as well as cytokinin will be produced in larger amounts. As and when the plant is maturing, let's say there is fall season, then ABA will be produced more, right? So depending upon each and every growth period. Now, abscisic acid is known as water stress hormone. What it does is allows closing of stomata during stress conditions so that water loss is prevented. So maybe there's drought conditions during winters, during any dry season, the abscisic acid will be produced in more quantities and it will allow the plant to overcome that stress. So let's look at the different ways in which it can overcome stress. First, it induces abscission. Now, abscission, sometimes what happens is if the plant is not getting enough amount of nutrients, or let's say it is not getting enough favorable conditions, what the plant tries to do is it will try to give all the nutrients to the younger plant parts. And the old plant parts, they will start falling. So let's say if you're not watering the plant for a couple of days, it will start yellowing and the plant parts will start falling. But kabhi bhi new leaves don't fall, the old leaves fall. Okay, so during stress condition, it will induce abscission so that maximum plant parts, especially the younger ones, can be saved. Second, it will induce bud and seed dormancy. So it will not allow flowering, because if the flower is formed, then fertilization will occur. Fertilization के लिए extra nutrients चाहिए, favorable conditions चाहिए for the embryo to survive. So it will not allow the bud to open and it will not allow the seed to germinate. It does. It will completely close the stomata. Then it induces senescence. So it will induce aging as opposed to cytokinin. Cytokinin will stop senescence. This is promoting aging, especially in plant parts which are already old. उसको फटाफट aggravate करके सारे extra plant parts को destroy करने की कोशिश करेगा, so that whatever is left, that can be saved. Then of course it causes stomatal closing for under water stress conditions. It allows seed development. Okay. It is an inhibitor of seed germination, already spoken about it, seed dormancy, and it promotes geotropism of roots. Geo means gravity and tropism means towards something, right? So it will grow towards the gravity or towards the soil so that roots can absorb water from the soil and absorb nutrients also. Na stress condition mein hai, it wants more nutrients, more water. So it will allow the roots to go deeper into the soil and absorb all these things, which will help the plant to survive. Next, coming to ethylene. So ethylene is a growth promoter as well as an inhibitor. It is not. It is stopping seed germination, but it allows seed development. So basically, what it's trying to do is, let's say that there is fertilization happened, and the embryo or the zygote is in the growing stage. Okay, it would want कि वो फटाफट seed बन जाए ताकि फिर वो dormant हो सके. Because if it remains in that zygote stage or the growth period, it will again require lots of nutrients, right? So फटाफट seed बनाएगा अगर plant, then seed can become dormant. Understood? Why it is doing seed? Why it is promoting seed development? Next is that ethylene is one of those hormones that is in the gaseous form. Others are usually in the like sap inside the, it is mixed with the nutrients, mixed with the food material or the other particles, but this is in the gaseous form, and it will allow ripening of fruit and tissues that are already undergoing senescence. Okay, best example to see how ethylene works is in your bananas and tomatoes. If you have seen, when you get bananas from the market, they might be green, and in a couple of days or like overnight, they become yellow. That is because the top of the banana, the bunch of the banana, जहाँ पे banana is attached, उस point से ethylene can be released. Okay, so again and again, bursts of ethylene is released in gaseous form, which allows the banana to ripen up quickly. So there are only some plants, some fruits which have this mechanism, not all. Certain fruits like tomato, banana, mango, papaya. It's 1 hour till 8:30. Okay, these are a few examples of plants or fruits which will produce ethylene even after they are detached from the plant body. So you must have seen that mango also can ripen up after a period of time. Papaya also ripens up after a period of time. But fruits like oranges or apples, they don't ripen up. They will just rot eventually if you're not using them. Okay. Quickly, physiological effects and applications. So the ethylene produces triple response. Okay, triple response means that it has triple function. First, it inhibits stem elongation. Second, it causes swelling of nodes. And it opposes geotropism. Because ethylene का main काम क्या है कि fruit बन गया है, ripening promote करना है, फटाफट we have to go into the next season. So it will inhibit the stem elongation. Once the stem elongation stops, only then the fruiting or the flowering can be promoted. जब stem stop होगा, तब the stem, the buds can be developed and then flowering can be induced. So it induces flowering. It allows sex modification. That means it increases number of female flowers again, because main focus is again to produce maximum yield of fruits. It causes abscission, that is of course falling. So abscission of leaves, flowers, and it allows fruit ripening. Okay. So any doubt anyone so far? Next. Okay. So now we have studied about phytohormones. There are a few other growth regulators as well. Yesterday we had spoken about photoperiodism and vernalization. That was also a growth regulator, how they influence the growth. Second is that it again will oppose geotropism, again to stop the growth of the main branch or the main stem, ताकि flowering and fruiting promote ho and the next cycle comes. Okay, so it will stop or it will oppose the geotropism. Okay, we are talking about phytochrome. Phytochrome is a chromoprotein. Okay, it helps in again regulation or growth of the plant, and this growth or regulation occurs in two forms. What happens is that phytochrome exists in two interconvertible phases or interconvertible forms. First one is the phytochrome red, which is P660. That means it absorbs light of 660 wavelength or nanometers. And then we have PFR. Which one? The geotropism one. I'll just complete this and then I'll explain that again. PFR is phytochrome far red. That means it absorbs light of 730 nanometers. So what happens is, okay, I'll tell you. So if you look at, let me just finish this. PR is interconvertible to PFR when it absorbs light of 660 nanometers. So 660 nanometers of light is absorbed. Then PR will be converted to PFR. ठीक है, जब PFR बन गया, PFR can be converted to PR when light of 730 nanometers is absorbed by the plant. So they are interconvertible forms. Okay, so this is red light absorbing form and this is the far red light absorbing form. Now, how does phytochrome help in the physiological processes? Is that it controls the morphogenesis by light and phytochrome both. So whatever light or whatever amount or whatever quality of light that is absorbed by the plant, it will induce certain kind of morphological changes in the plant, and it will allow certain physiological effects as well. And these physiological effects basically include things like seed germination. ठीक है, so जो long day plants, short day plants, वो सब हमने पढ़ा था. Basically, the duration of the light plus certain pigments like phytochrome, they will induce flowering or will stop flowering or will induce seed germination or will stop seed germination, depending upon what kind of or what quality of light is being received by the plant itself. Okay, normally the phytochrome stays or it is maximum active in the PFR form, because PFR form जैसे ही 730 nanometers collect करेगा वो PR form में convert हो जाएगा. And as you know, red light is good during flowering and seed germination. ठीक है, so आपने basically ये याद रखना है, ये दो जो forms है and how they are interchangeable. Okay. All right, I'll tell you. So just going back to how ethylene opposes geotropism. So understand this, when the plant, geotropism is related to roots, yes, but whenever the roots are being promoted towards the gravity, that means it is for maximum absorption of nutrients or minerals, right, or water. That will allow the plant to sustain more. But यहाँ पे it does not want the plant to sustain more. It wants that फटाफट accession हो, फटाफट fruit ripening हो जाए, so that that period of growth of the plant is inhibited or stopped, and then the next season can be started. So normally क्या होता है, whenever there is a plant cycle or life cycle of a plant going on, what will happen? The plants will grow to a maximum stage, right? They will have flowering, then they will form the fruits, As soon as the fruits are formed, all the other parts of the plant will start falling. Eventually, whatever nutrient or whatever energy is inside the plant, it will be directed towards the fruits, right? Uske baad, when the fruit is ripened, the fruit will fall off, and then the plant will start a new cycle. So it is related. Okay, great. Chalo. Let's talk about seed germination. So there are 3 types or 3 ways in seeds are germinated. You just need to know the terminologies. Hypogeal means it is the cotyledon stays below the ground when the sapling is coming out. Epigeal means cotyledons above the ground. And vivipary means that sometimes the seed starts germinating on the parent itself. Okay? So it is an adaptation of mangrove plants because mangroves are found in saline conditions or high salt conditions. So agar the fruit falls off from the plant, it will be very difficult for the new growing sapling to establish or to gain nutrients from the salty soil or the salty land, right? So what it does instead is that the seed will start germinating on the plant itself, on the mother plant itself, inside the fruit, utilize all the nutrients and the minerals from the mother plant itself, and then eventually detach from the parent. So that is vivipary, which is giving birth. Basically, it is giving birth to young ones, but it is giving, like it is still attached to the mother plant. Then we have seed dormancy. So seed dormancy is whenever the seed remains in inactive state and in which the growth of the embryo is temporarily suspended for a specific period of time. As soon as favorable conditions are provided, the seed will start growing and the seed will break dormancy. There are different ways in which seed dormancy can be broken. First is mechanical scarification. Second is chemical scarification, high temperature treatment, and to neutralize the effect of inhibitors. Scarification means जो seed coat होता है उसको हम remove करते हैं, ठीक है? And then we allow the seed to germinate. So mechanical means कि physical process से you are removing the seed coat. Chemical means you are applying certain kind of chemicals which will help in dissolving the seed coat. High temperature treatment, again, if there is high temperature provided, the seed will automatically germinate as the chemicals inside or whatever nutrients that are present inside the seed that will start metabolizing. And fourth is to neutralize the effect of inhibitors. So inhibitors like ABA, they can be stopped, and or you can provide GA to promote the seed germination or break the dormancy, right? Any doubt, anyone? Okay, let's talk about certain MCQs now. Chalo. Apical dominance is due to abscisic acid, gibberellic acid, auxin, or cytokinin. Which of the following promotes apical dominance? ये तो inhibitor है, it's a growth inhibitor. Cytokinin promotes lateral budding. Auxin promotes. The first question, that apical dominance is a property of auxin. Okay, so auxin promotes apical dominance, whereas ABA is a stress hormone, it is an inhibitor. Gibberellic acid has no role in dominance. It usually acts on internodes. It does not act on the epiphysis. And cytokinin promotes lateral budding and suppresses the apical dominance. So here the correct answer is auxin. Next we have 2,4-D. 2,4-D is a synthetic auxin. and it is used as a herbicide. We've discussed it, that it inhibits the growth of herbicides. Next, which one of the following generally acts as an antagonist to gibberellin? So we are talking about anything that opposes or it is opposite to that of the function of gibberellin or the gibberellic acid. Gibberellic acid promotes seed germination, and out of the following, which one inhibits seed germination is ABA. ABA is a stress hormone and it inhibits any type of growth that will require energy or any sort of nutrient. So it will inhibit. Next, you are given a tissue with its potential for differentiation in artificial culture. So basically a mass of cell or callus has been given to you without any differentiation or without any particular formation of any part. And it does have potential for differentiation. Which pair of hormones will you add to the medium to secure shoot as well as root? So both we want shoot and root in this mass of cells. So we will use auxin and cytokinin. Auxin and cytokinin, when they are used in specific ratios together, they promote both growth of shoot as well as root, because if you recall, they are both involved in cell elongation. Okay. Next, the pineapple, which under natural condition is difficult to blossom, has been made to produce fruits throughout the year by the application of NAA2,4-D, phenyl acetic acid, IBA, IAA, or cytokinin. So natural condition mein it is not fruiting. We are using synthetic hormones. These synthetic hormones will allow production of fruit. Next, Dr. F. Wendt noted that if coleoptile tips were removed and placed on agar for 1 hour, the agar would produce a bending when placed on one side of freshly cut coleoptile stumps. Of what significance is this experiment? So agar is basically the nutrient medium, as well as it will allow the coleoptile to stand straight. So basically a gelling medium also. So जो हमने experiment की बात करी थी, that when coleoptile is subjected to light, there will be bending or non-bending. What is the significance? It demonstrated polar movement of auxin. It supports the hypothesis that IAA is auxin. It is the basis for the quantitative determination of small amounts of growth promoting substances. It made possible the isolation and exact identification of auxin. If you see here, the coleoptile tips are removed. So auxin ki movement, yeah, that IAA is auxin or identification of auxin is not possible because there is no tip present. अगर tip present होता और फिर वो उधर की तरफ curve करता या bend करता, then we would have said that yes, it is demonstrating the polar movement of auxin. But here, since there is no coleoptile tip plus there is bending, it is the basis for the quantitative determination of small amounts of growth promoting substances. मतलब कोई तो growth promoting substance कुछ और present है in some quantities, which is allowing the plant to grow. So that growth product of growth promoting substance can be anything. It could be gibberellin, it could have been cytokinin, but not auxin. Next, fruit and leaf drop at early stages can be prevented by the application of, direct question hai, auxins. Auxins delay premature falling of plant parts. Next, during seed germination, its stored food is mobilized by, so during seed germination, what is promoting seed germination? Gibberellic acid. So like I said, it will promote seed germination by producing amylase. Amylase will act on starch, which is the stored food material, and it becomes mobilized, or it will start being utilized, and seed germination will be promoted. Next, the Avena culture is used for bioassay of, like coleoptile Avena culture assay is used for IAA or indole 3 acetic acid, which is nothing but your auxin. The plant hormone used to destroy weeds in a field is 2,4-D. It is used as a herbicide or a weedicide. So this is a question that came just now in September. Next, which of the following is not an inhibitory substance governing seed dormancy? Not an inhibitory. This is inhibitory. Phenolic acid, gibberellic acid, para-ascorbic acid. These two are not involved in seed dormancy. Which one is not inhibitory? Gibberellic acid, because this will promote seed germination, and not inhibit seed dormancy, or not an inhibitory substance. Okay. Next, who coined the term kinetin? Kinetin is your synthetic cytokinin, which is widely used. This term was coined by Scooge and Miller. Darwin, Wendt, and Kurosawa have no role in cytokinin. All three are responsible for different types of experiments on auxin. Any doubts, anyone so far? Next, inhibitory substances in dormant seeds cannot be removed by subjecting seeds to gibberellic acid, nitrate, ascorbic acid, or chilling conditions. So, अगर कोई seed dormancy में है, if we apply gibberellic acid, it will promote seed germination. We are looking for something that cannot remove seed dormancy. So this can remove seed dormancy. Nitrate can remove seed dormancy because this is a nutrient required by plant for growth. And chilling condition is vernalization. Vernalization promotes fruiting and flowering and seed germination. Ascorbic acid, on the other hand, has no role in seed germination. So this is the inhibitory substances. If it is removed using ascorbic acid, it will have no effect on it. Removal of shoot tips is a very useful technique to boost the production of tea leaves. This is because gibberellins prevent bolting and are inactivated. Auxins prevent leaf drop at early stages. Effects of auxins is removed and growth of lateral bud is enhanced. Gibberellins delay senescence of leaves. So अगर आप tip remove कर रहे हो, you are removing auxins. If auxins are removed, apical dominance is broken, which will promote lateral growth. So automatically the plant, which might be growing elongated like this, will start having a bushy appearance all over. So effect of auxin is removed and growth of lateral buds is enhanced. This is also why normally we promote grass cutting or hedges जो होते हैं, जो particular shape के hedges होते हैं, हम उनको बार बार pruning करते हैं उनकी. Plants need to be cut or pruned on a regular basis so that उनका ऐसे growth हो instead of just like one singular growth like this. Next, name the plant growth regulator which upon spraying on sugarcane crop increases the length of stem, thus increasing the yield of sugarcane crop. So basically we are applying the spray or growth regulator on the internodes, which will allow growth of the sugarcane stem length. This is done by gibberellic acid. Gibberellic acid promotes growth of internodes. Next, in order to increase the yield of sugarcane crop, which of the following plant growth regulators should be sprayed? Again, ये वाला question और ये वाला question similar है. One has come in 2019, another one has come in 2020. Again, gibberellin or gibberellic acid, because height बढ़ेगा, yield बढ़ेगा. Next, fruit and leaf drop at early stages can be prevented by the application of auxins. Auxins will not or will inhibit premature falling. It allows plant to grow vegetatively. Okay. Next, phytochrome is a flavoprotein, glycoprotein, lipoprotein, or a chromoprotein. Phytochrome is a chromoprotein. It is a pigment which absorbs red light and far red light. Far red light. Okay. Next, auxin can be bioassayed by, how do you find if auxin is present or not? By Avena coleoptile culture. So coleoptile tips help in figuring out whether or not auxin is present. Last question. Which one is a stress hormone? ABA, ethylene, GA3, or IAA? ABA is abscisic acid, ethylene is ethylene gas, GA3 is gibberellic acid third, and IAA is indole acetic acid. So out of the following, ABA is a stress hormone, usually prevents any kind of growth activities, and it's a growth inhibitor as well. Okay. So with this, we come to the end of this chapter. Make sure that you go through all the hormones properly, understand this function, as well as make a table. ठीक है, table form में लिख लो कि ये वाला हार्मोन क्या कर रहा है, what is auxin doing, cytokinin, gibberellic acid, so that when you're studying it, you can study it as a whole, and you will also remember कि which one is opposing the other, right? So that's it from my side today. Thank you so much, everyone. Have a good day, and please like, share, and subscribe.